Gemini. I'm here to give you an eclipse season predictions read. I'm going to be bringing a little bit of softness into your read tonight. I had an interesting experience when I first went to drop into your energy. We're looking at this time period that's um, got kicked off by this Aries double new moon on 420, full solar eclipse that got amplified with our recent Scorpio penumbral lunar eclipse, new moon, no, full moon energy that came in on the 5th. And that energy is going to continue to be in play until October 14th. So we're entering a very transformational time. It's also amplified further by the nodes of destiny that will be shifting with that Aries point coming in, which really marks the beginning of a brand new chapter, brand new cycle for all of us. We're at a very interesting juncture with that going down in July. We also have the Scorpio South Node is sliding into Libra. So it's a time of karmic balancing. There's a lot of closing up of old cycles, the beginning of new ones. And I went to record this for you beforehand, and I had to drop it because the energy that I was picking up from you was that you're in a very kind of like almost defensive position. It has big Nine of Wands energy to me, big Nine of Wands energy, like somebody who's really had to defend themselves or felt like they've had to defend themselves for a long time, or has had to really kind of like put on a brave face or like hold everything together through a lot of a lot of difficult challenges, a lot of transitions, a lot of heavy stuff that you've navigated. I feel like you've navigated it very well. I feel like you are in a place where you really have kind of come to the truth within yourself, the truth in your situations that you've been moving through, situations you've been in an active healing process with. I think it's brought in a lot for you to kind of hold internally. I also feel like you're really owning your voice, you're communicating more, you're speaking your truth, you're bringing all of that forward. You aren't really concerned with how other people are receiving it at this point necessarily. It's just there's a need for you to be really honest, really transparent. For some of you, this is because you've also been through a real recovery process and you've learned through that recovery process the ways that it's so essential to not allow secrets, to sort of control you, strip you of your power, strip you in some cases of your voice. Addictions can take many forms too. Addictions can be to, substances, alcohol, but there can also be addictive relationships, codependent relationships are a form of an addictive relationship. Relationships with runner chaser dynamics, this kind of stuff, it can also be just addiction to chasing money, chasing superficial forms of fulfillment to sort of sublimate where there's a sense of emptiness. But I feel like you've had a lot illuminated for you, and I feel like you've been through a really intense healing process. I feel like you're kind of making a final round of this work. I think the shadow work has gone really, really deep at points. It was interesting though. I just felt this like almost like this need to defend oneself, like feeling like you had to defend yourself. And the energy was hard to kind of like get through, get through. It was almost like a guarding kind of energy. And so you're the only one I have felt compelled to do this for so far, at least, but I don't know, maybe it'll come in. I felt like there was a need to call in a little peace and a little tranquility and a little smoothing, soothing kind of energy for Gemini collective. So I got this candle here and I charged it up with Reiki to just bring in a little peace, a little healing, a little smoothing, a little space of softness as you close these final, karmic cycles that you have before you. I mean, we all have this work, we're all collectively going through it, but there's just something I picked up with the Gemini collective's energy at this time. It feels like you all are just like, you're tired. You're tired and you need things to go smoothly. Like you're just not in a space where you really can take on any extra pressure. But I also feel like there's this piece of there's a lot more support around you than you realize, and that things are actually a lot more free than you see, and a lot more hopeful than you're allowing yourself to see, and that this may be like the final piece of the shadow that needs to be like really cleared out, is understanding the ways that sometimes you block that light from coming in. Sometimes the ways that you block the support from coming in because you've taken on the identity of like, well, I just have to hold it down and I have to, keep everything together. And there's some piece of this where um there's a self-protective stance. I believe it's like from preparing for like the worst, that's sort of what I feel like. Maybe you've been going through something that's been a really painful healing process, or maybe you've had a lot of old stuff coming up. Maybe Scorpio South Node's been taking you really deep, into your past, and there's a lot you've been integrating. And sometimes when you've spent a lot of time in the shadow, you've been dealing with a lot of difficulties and challenges, you can get to that place where you start to kind of like anticipate, okay, what next, And I feel like there's still this stance there, Gemini. You got this like, what's next? And because of that, it's like it's acting as a block from what wants to come in to support you and sort of like smooth the way. I think as you melt this resistance and start looking at this a little bit more, like how am I showing up? Am I showing up in a relaxed, open, like posturing? Am I showing up in my communications and in my relationships, my connections in my life in a way that shows openness and receptivity? Or am I combative? Am I guarded? Am I not sharing my authentic truth? Or are there ways I'm holding myself back and saying what I want to say directly? Likewise, am I taking the time to really listen to what other people are saying? And if I'm not sure, asking them to elaborate for me so I can understand. Um, I feel like it's sort of like an energy of having been stuck dealing with so many difficulties, challenges, hardships for so long, that it's almost like a difficulty recognizing like the real supportive influences that are present, or the things that are there to really help you move into the expansion that's going to make things flow just so much easier, so much easier. I don't think it's going to be the challenge you think it's going to be. I think there's been a worry that's been hanging over you about making some kind of transition, and you're afraid of it being very disruptive, or you're afraid of it being something that's going to bring a lot more stress, tension into your life, or that it's going to be a very difficult process. And it's actually a lot easier than you think it is, this coming in for somebody. So I just wanted to light this candle for you all. I'm just going to hold a little space for Gemini collective. This is going to be for Gemini, all strong placements with this read. Okay, so Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, North Node, Mercury, Mars, Saturn, Pluto, or a loaded third house, a significant placement in that third house. And you could find something here for you. And, I light this candle for all of you who are going through these challenges. Also lighting a candle on behalf of the entire collective for that third house of Gemini, because I think that's also coming in. That's why I'm feeling this energy that communication is so important right now. Communication, clear communication, communication that's geared toward creating understanding, creating opportunities for understanding. How are you showing up for your communications, Gemini? Are you showing up in a way that uh, is really about cultivating a space that allows understanding to come forward? And are you receiving communications in this way too? There's something about this piece, something about peace can be accomplished, something about healing can be accomplished, something about learning to communicate in new ways. This focus on learning to communicate in new ways, learning how to soften communication, how it bridges the gaps, how it brings peace, how it brings healing, how it brings that understanding that's needed for you, this coming to light for you. This coming to light for you, you're starting to notice the ways that you show up in communication and the ways that that influences the type of interactions you have, the end result that you have from those communications. I feel like this is an area where you're starting to do more work. You're starting to bring in a little bit more mindfulness. You're also bringing your truth forward. Maybe you're speaking some things you've held in for a long time. Maybe because you're speaking things you've held in for a long time. At first, they come off abrasive. At first, they come out cold. At first, they come out harsh. It's because you held them in for so long. And for you, they are very bitter. They're bitter truths, you know? And that's why they come off like that. They don't leave a good taste in the mouth, even when you speak them, you know? Mindfulness about temperament, you know? Temperament, the temperament in which you're saying things. Are you coming from cold? Are you coming from warmth? Are you coming out hot? You know, paying attention to the temperature of your communications, tempering that, finding a homeostasis, you know, in communications where there's warmth, there's receptivity, you know, or being able to speak a harsh truth with clarity without it cutting, without it being too harsh. Bringing this in because this came in a lot for Air Sign Collective recently in diving into reads for the collective. That air is very cold right now. The air is very cut off right now. The air has kind of gone to that place of in some cases kind of disconnecting, disassociating in the extreme, of course, but feeling very like not willing to hear it too. Okay. In some cases, these are all things that are coming up to be transformed. Communication is going to be a big highlight for you. Communications that are geared toward coming to a place of understanding, coming to a place of peace, knowing when it doesn't matter to be so invested in a certain position anymore, knowing when to let something go, knowing when to stop repeating the same story, or when to stop focusing on what happened back there and kind of even bring the whole focus of communication, what you talk about, what you think about, into the present moment instead of constantly like reflecting back there on what happened back there. I do feel like you got some communications coming in that are very important. I do feel there's defensiveness around these communications. I believe that the energy is really speaking for this eclipse season is all about you coming to peaceful resolutions, having harmonious communications, communications that in some cases can bring about reconciliation, communications that can bring about healing. I think it's very sensitive territory for you. It feels awkward at times to own your voice in such a vulnerable space. That's what I'm getting. That's what the activation is for. That's why sometimes people feel you come off abrasive. You don't mean to come off abrasive. It's just it hasn't been safe for you before. I'm feeling emotional for you before to be soft. It hasn't been safe for you to show that part of you, not always. And because of that, you do unknowingly, not intending to, can come off abrasive at times in speaking your truth, especially when it's something you feel very vulnerable about. you may you may come off that way because you need to, you feel you need to. It's what keeps this part of you safe, this part of you that you felt hasn't been very safe with others. I feel a lot of emotion around that. So I'm just calling in for Gemini Collective. a sense of peace, a sense of softness around communications as they speak their truth, as they take the risk to open up to the tenderness in their hearts, to the vulnerable places, to the hurts that they need to speak to the truths that they need to see, to an acknowledgement also of the ways that they have not acknowledged truths about themselves. Something enough that north node of Taurus work is going really deep for you on that level. I feel like it's coming out for you a lot in terms of your relationships, like feeling valued in a relationship, feeling appreciated, feeling seen, having your feelings acknowledged. There's this piece of this I just just want to call in peace around you in this process as you open up and as you soften and as you come to discover what an incredible strength your vulnerability is, and how it's the thing that actually really sets you free. Look at this bottom of the deck energy. It's the Seven of Wands. This is what we're picking up here. This is what needs to be dissolved at this time, you know? Uh, this feeling that can sometimes isolate you, that can make you feel alone, that can make you feel like you don't belong, like you're separate from everybody else. Nobody gets you, nobody understands, you know, because you've kind of like isolated yourself. You've put up defenses around you that prevents, people from really, being able to access your heart center. There's guarding here. There's guarding here. I also see this too, in respect to what you want to create for yourself. Your vision for your future is very, very dear to you. And you are standing on it, and you know what you want your future to look like, and you also know what you're ready to leave behind. And you don't really care what others' opinions are about that, and about your choices, and about what you need to do for yourself, for you to be happy, for you to be fulfilled. You're kind of putting yourself first for a change. You're putting yourself first for a change. This might be why you come off looking really defensive to some people. Maybe you are a bit defensive, sort of like this might be something new. You might be working more with boundary lines. That might be uncomfortable for you. It can be a little bit awkward when we first start really asserting ourselves, asserting our boundary lines, saying, yes, I'm willing to do this, but no, I don't want to take on that. When we have to start leaning into our no more, once we understand what we really do want to focus on, where we do want to direct our attention, what we do want to invest in, who we do want to align with, it becomes very clear where we're out of alignment, where we need to let things go, where we need to release things, where we need to say no, where we need to, you know, stand on it, represent it. You might have people who want to continue to take from you. You might have people around you who want to use you in some way, who take on this position of feeling like you owe them something, and you're starting to realize that you can't really be angry about this, if you continue to allow people to put you in that position. And at some point, you have to draw some boundary lines. And then you don't have to complain anymore, or feel bad, or feel like people are using you, because you're not allowing them to use you. You're not allowing them to, take from you, but not pour back into you, you know? There's something about this. You're like blocking off time, energy for yourself, so you can focus on what you want to focus on. But there is this caution here that's coming in about, don't get to a place where you're so blocked off, walled off, defensive, that you don't let what is supportive that wants to like light up your life and move you into expansion to come in. There's a way to have a firm line. There's a way to know your truth, to stand on that, and to do so from an empowered perspective without feeling combative or overly defensive of it. There's a way that you can do that that actually can inspire other people too. It can be an inspiration to learn how to sort of mirror healthy individualism, healthy autonomy, what that looks like. So all of these things can be sensitive territory to navigate. So I'm just calling in a lot of peace for you all. Let's see what's coming in for the Gemini collective over this big download for you all that came in though. So I feel like you're really focused on your inner work. I feel like that's something that's very important to you. I also feel like you have a particular vision for your future that you're really wanting to call in, and you're investing a lot of your focus there. You're wanting to cut out distractions, and something just landed on the floor as I said that. So we'll see what's distracting there. What's been a distraction? Yeah, you're tossing away anything that is, holding off your happiness. I think you feel like it's time for you to be happy. I think you feel like it's time for you to have your place in the sun. I think you're also ready for success in your life. I think how you're defining success looks a lot different to you now, though. You're starting to see success isn't just about like how much money you have or the nice things you can have, the brand new car you can buy, or any of that stuff. You're also starting to realize that no, success is also like having a certain freedom of care. It's being able to have an ease in my life. It's about enjoying the simple things. It's about feeling happy. It's about being in a space where I feel hopeful about my future. I think you're planting those seeds right now. You're really looking at, okay, where do I need to pull out the weeds? What's going to block that light from coming into my life? I mean, with this to come in reverse like this, we know that there's been too much time, spent in this space right here. You've been in your head for far too long with the Eight of Swords there, feeling trapped, feeling stuck. A lot of this has revolved around loops in your consciousness, in your head. It's places in your head where you're conflicted. You're conflicted with what's happened in your life or these truths that you've had to see. But you keep telling yourself you're stuck, and things are always going to be like this, or it's not going to get better. You feel like your success, your happiness, it's still on the horizon. It's not quite here yet, but it's sort of like you got to like cut yourself off from this constant focus on the disappointment, or in some cases, the betrayal, the harsh truths you've had to see, the way you felt let down by other people, the way you felt betrayed by others, the way you feel that you got left out in the cold by other people. This grief, a lot of it's old grief. Some of it's just old trauma stuff, that you've been really working through, processing. I pick that up very strongly for any of you who've been in any kind of recovery process. You've been really just like in the trenches, like looking at all that stuff, taking it down to the roots, looking at your childhood, looking at what didn't go right in your childhood, how in some cases you even feel like your childhood was robbed of you. Maybe you had to grow up real fast. Maybe you had a parent or parents where you had to be the caretaker in your family. You had to step up into that role. You didn't get to be a kid. There's something about this. Maybe it made you think that you had to martyr yourself. You felt like you were just bound to this certain role, this certain position. You always had to compromise your own happiness to show up for the others who weren't able to show up in the way they should have for you. There's something about you setting yourself free from like a victim mindset. You're recognizing that only you can set yourself free, and it has everything to do with what you tolerate in your life. And it's not about staying fixated on it and going over old ground and repeatedly looking at what somebody else has done, because when we do that, we continue to give our power away. We continue to give our power away, because what's our power? Our power is our power of choice. It's where we put our focus, what we choose to focus on, what we're looking to call into being. If you're always looking back at that, you continue to give your power to those people. You continue to give your power to those situations. It's about taking your power back and saying, you know what? I've stayed stuck in my head over this stuff for far too long. It's immobilizing me. It's keeping me from stepping into the light, into the expansion, into the success, into that place of happiness, fulfillment, you know, freedom from all of this joy. We got hummingbird medicine here that's all about joy, you know. This is also speaking of that Aries point that comes in, you know, in July, you know, Leo season, big time of everything, you know, expanding, coming into the light. You know, I feel like you're getting this. You understand ways that you're keeping yourself stuck. And instead of staying stuck in your head, you're really going to be taking action during this eclipse season. You're going to be cutting off anything that keeps you from your joy. You're cutting off anything that keeps you from moving into that place of expansion. And naturally, I think one of the biggest towers that is going to be coming up for you is seeing, acknowledging the ways that you've kind of betrayed yourself by staying in this stuck position, you know, of having to go over this old ground for too long. It's time to drop it. It's time to drop these swords and the suffering, because the light is wanting to come in for you, but you got to believe that that light is wanting to come in for you. If you're always looking for ways that it's going to be thwarted, or ways that it's going to be blocked, or, you know, ways that it was taken from you in the past, then you're going to continue to just see more of the same. It's time to really shift the focus. It's time to, you know, set yourself free here. You're not really trapped. Look how loose those ties are. You're not bound in any way. Look, you can even kind of see underneath that blindfold. It's like, it's a story we sometimes tell ourselves, because if we really consider, what if nothing was holding me back? What if nobody is working against me? What if all of that is just something I continue to tell myself? And I tell myself that because it's what allows me to stay in this space where I'm small, I'm thwarted, I can't really, you know, have the success that I want, because there's all these obstacles in my way. It doesn't have to be a person, okay? It can also be just stories you tell yourself about your circumstances, reasons why you're stuck, reasons why you can't move forward, reasons why your success isn't there. And there's a way that we can work ourselves into these spaces where, you know, we do that because it's more comfortable to be in the place of failure, missing the mark, not achieving it, not getting to that place of happiness or fulfillment, than it is to really say, you know what, no, I'm the only one holding myself back. I can make this whatever I want it to be. Disappointments, failures are part of success. They are the building blocks for success. I'm looking at this the wrong way. I'm going to start focusing on where the light is calling me. What is drawing me forward? Where am I being pulled into that place of expansion? What feels a little scary, but also exciting at the same time? This is what brings you total victory, okay? This is what brings you wish fulfillment, okay? With that 9 of Cups. And I see you're going to get the promise of that star, all right? You're going to get that recognition. You got the love and the support coming in. It's there. It's there, but you're still like kind of like pouring everything out. And you've been so focused on your healing process, okay, that you're forgetting that there's more to healing than just about releasing and shedding the tears and looking at the hardships and holding space for the grief and the trauma. There's also the part where you get to see the gifts that came through it. There's also the part about, now that you know where the loss is, you can open up your heart, you know, to what you're ready to receive. You can look at what's on the other side of that, you know. There's a reason why we go through losses in our lives. It's to clear the way for something new to come in. And there is love. There's love wanting to come in for you. There is that sun wanting to come in for you. You've had it echoed twice now. Success is on the horizon for you. You're going to have a big success in your life. I feel like First of all, you're going to get over this martyrdom stuff. You're not going to feel like you have to caretake for others anymore. I feel like you're going to start investing in yourself. And I feel like that's the right decision for you. I think you're going to start going where the joy is. You're going to start focusing on what makes you feel good. You're going to spend time with the people that you enjoy being around. It feels good in their presence. You're not going to take opportunities out of obligation anymore because you feel like you should do that or you should help this person with that or whatever the case may be. You're going to only invest in things that you really want to, that you're interested in, that excite you, and the more that you do this, you're going to see this success build in your life. I think, summertime is going to be a really happy time for you. There's something that comes through that gives you a lot of hope. And it's great that you've done all this healing work, but it's sort of like, you've also been doing a lot of nurturing for others. You've been worried about, making sure others are able to heal, that they have what they need. You've been doing a lot of caretaking of others, right? And you've been pouring a lot of your energy into that. And you've been doing your own healing work. But there's this piece coming in where you really need to work on receiving, okay? Because you notice both of these cups are pouring out. You got to put one of those vessels up, put one of those pitchers up. So, this new beginning in love and feeling supported, feeling the ways you're supported can come in, right? Work on receiving a little bit more, okay? And I think that the best place to start is by how you're prioritizing your time and energy. So it's focused on what really works for you, okay? But you all are manifesting a dream. It's coming forward for you, okay? And I see it really coming forward in July. There's some bold move you take, it leads you to a great success in your life. May even involve a move, or may involve you launching something, some kind of creative project. This could be an album for some of you. This could be something you're putting in print. It could be a book. It could be some kind of write up, some kind of recognition in a magazine, some kind of press. I feel like it's a big celebratory moment. There's something that you're presenting. I feel this. You're working on something. You're working on some kind of project. It's your baby. It's your inspiration. I think it's going to be extremely successful. I think you're also like taking away this energy that you used to focus on, everybody else and what they were up to and what they were doing and what they need. And you're starting to really put the focus on you. This is shifting everything for you. I think you're more focused on personal gratification right now. I think that's wonderful. I think that's exactly the kind of energy that you need to rock moving into this new cycle. Okay. This is about you entering a totally new chapter in your life, everything brand new. How do you want to write this story? What do you want it to look like? You really can bring your dreams into being right now. It's about you redirecting your energy, and I see you doing that. I also see that there's some kind of message coming your way. I think it's something that starts out kind of small. I believe this is the reference that's coming in here with this little bit of hope that wants to come in for you. There's some kind of invitation that wants to come your way. Somebody has something they want to speak to you from the heart. It's a small gesture, okay? It's a beginning, but I feel like you're kind of distracted right now. I don't think you see this coming. I don't think you see this coming at all, but I do feel it's going to come in, but you could block it, okay? So here's this message again. You could block this change that wants to come in for you. There's this destiny, this turn of the wheel that wants to come in for you with the wheel of fortune, but you're really kind of in this closed off energy right now. So there's this need, okay, to move yourself into more of a receptive space so you can receive what wants to come in. What is this that's wanting to come in? It looks like you're wanting to reward, Gemini. It looks like you got some karmic brownie points and you're supposed to be receiving some kind of reward. That's what I'm really getting, that there's some kind of happiness that comes through for you, some kind of reroute of destiny, that leads you to this place where there's a new invitation that comes forward, an invitation into love, an invitation to open up to receive a little love. I feel like this is coming in the summertime. I don't think you see this right now. I think you're still kind of like looking out at a blank canvas as far as your future is concerned. You got a lot of ideas, you got a lot of visions right now. You haven't just like honed it into one thing though. I think that that's what's needed for you at this time to take best advantage of this cycle, this solar eclipse cycle, is to not worry about like kind of like the other characters in your life, the other characters in your play of life at this time, kind of like let them take care of themselves. There's more of an individuation process going on with you where it's important for you to really focus on yourself right now and get really clear on what success looks like to you. Like, what are you wanting to call in and what can you build for yourself? No, not making it about anybody else. There's something really empowering about this for you. And it's about really getting your sights set, get a clear focus for what you're wanting to create just for yourself. There's something about getting a clarity of vision. And this has a lot to do with your work. It has everything to do with your work. I think you're redefining your work, okay, with the Three of Pentacles here, right? Also coming in with what is my contract energy. I feel like you're looking at things in a new way. I think you've been used to doing a lot of collaborative work. I think you've been used to doing a certain kind of work. I think there's a big redefinition of work coming in for you with this eclipse season. The work that you're doing come October 14th, you wouldn't have seen it from a million miles away. It's going to be very different from what you're doing right now. All right. Very different from what you're doing right now. For some of you that are, putting some kind of project out there, if it's some kind of like creative project, if it's like an album or some other kind of artistic body of work, I see that somebody is going to really want to pick you up. You might get offered some kind of contract for artists, like at a gallery. You might get some kind of opportunity. It's a really prestigious opportunity. It's a big moment of success for you. Some of you photographers, I got this. You might be releasing your photography. Maybe doing your first showing. You've never done that before. You might actually do a photography showing. You might also be putting out in tandem with this. This is very specific for somebody. You're putting out in tandem like a coffee table book. You got like specific ideas of ways that you want to showcase your books. I'm getting you have like 3 separate projects you want to work on this level. There's 3 separate projects that will come in. Maybe you've been considering working with other people in regard to this. I'm getting in regard to the text. There's something about this. Maybe you want somebody to also put text to your images. You want to put out these coffee table books. You're looking at bringing some people in to collaborate on this. It's something about your art. You want to do some kind of collaboration on this level. But I feel like you got the images, or you have the art pieces, and you have somebody you want to pull in who does the writing, the editorial end of it for you. You want to create this like coffee table book. 3 of them. 3 of them. I feel like you got 3 separate coffee table books you want to create. And you're going to put them together. This is very specific. I see that happening. Some of you are getting picked up for your book. Somebody wants to pick it up. This is a publishing house contract. For others of you, this is a contract with a record company. This is about really looking at how you want to go about that, looking at the details, hammering that out. This is something you're wanting to bring forward. This could also be an invitation from somebody to work on this kind of project coming in. I do see this at the forefront for you all. I see that you've been in a period where, nothing has really excited you for a while as far as what's been coming towards you, with the Hangman to the 4 of Cups here. I think there's been a lot of people you haven't wanted to work with. I think that's why you're in this place where you're going your own way, because you've dealt with a lot of disappointments. And you also felt like people just weren't upfront with you when you worked on projects. You felt like you were out of the loop, or maybe they worked things out so they benefited the most. I feel like you're heading more in an independent direction in regard to this, and you're you're setting the template, right? You're setting the template. You're cutting off the BS, and you're moving forward in your own interests. You know, you're defining things on your terms with the Knight of Swords there. I think it's good, man. I think it looks really good, actually. There's just every indication of success here and working on really rewarding projects. That looks good. That looks good. And maybe that's about communication too. Maybe communication is part of what you're doing. Maybe you do some kind of work on the airwaves. Maybe you do some kind of work on social media. Maybe you do some kind of work on the World Wide Web. Maybe you're heading into that direction. Maybe some of you are heading into entertainment or something along these lines. It like brings your communication front and center. So there's also this piece about like being mindful of the way you communicate. It's also like your calling card, your ability to communicate, and the tone you hold. Like it's also sort of like your own advertising as well. This coming in, so it's being mindful of that 10th house activity. I got that. I'm getting Capricorn energy coming in for you for some reason. I'm thinking of that like 10 of Pentacles. You know, that big success card, that place of arrival. It's like legacy energy. It also for me is really translating to that 10th house of Capricorn. Like I feel like you're really stepping into that. Some of you are North Node Capricorn. You're meant to step into this like big legacy energy. So be very mindful of like, how are you coming off on social media? It's your calling card right now. People are paying attention. That can facilitate opportunities for you, or it can block opportunities for you. That's what I'm getting. So these are areas where you might look at how you're communicating, how you're coming off, what kind of receptivity are you getting. You know, it's not about changing who you are, and it's not about putting a different spin on your truth, but it's just about learning how to communicate in such a way where it really lands, like people can receive what you're bringing in, even if you're speaking some kind of bold truths. You know, it's all about how it's delivered. Yeah, there's something to be looked at here. Oh, I got judgment on that. Look at this, because look what came out here. We have the Ace of Swords, which is all about communication. It's also about truth. It's in reverse. It came in with judgment. So there's really something you need to look at here, okay? I feel like this is your main area of focus is communications, looking at how you're communicating, looking at truth maybe in a new way. It's like, yes, you have your truth. Other people have their truth too, right? Truths don't always match up. It doesn't mean that that person's truth is any less truthful than your truth. I mean, truth is subjective. We base our truth off our personal experiences. Others can also be equally involved and stand by and invested in their own personal perspective. So at some point, you know, there's no need to argue over truth. Everybody has their own perspective. Sometimes it's better just to let things rest. You know, put a fork in it. It's done. Let it rest. Literally, let it rest with the Four of Swords. Let it rest. It's okay to disagree. You know, you might think that somebody else screwed you over. They might think you screwed them over. You might think somebody else is combative, always out to get you, whatever. They might think the same of you. You might be mirroring each other. You know, this kind of energy. But it's also about being mindful about how it's so important at some point too to stop all this reflection on, you know, what happened in the past, and, you know, going over old ground, or how so and so lied to you, or, you know, it's like, this is dead. This is done with the 10 of Swords. It's done. You know, you got to let go of that. It's time to release that. And there is work to be done on communication. It's about being able to communicate from a more heart-centered place. Sometimes the easiest way, you know, especially if you're having difficult communications, or you're trying to iron things out with people that you've had arguments with or issues with, and it's sensitive, and everybody feels activated. It's like, how are we even going to get clear communication coming in around this? Sometimes it's helpful to just bring in like a simple guideline, like, hey, when we talk to each other, when we're communicating, let's put our hands on our heart. You know, let's put our hands on our heart when we speak. This one simple one simple motion, it's interesting because it's kind of like that Four of Pentacles is that like guarding walling off. We've seen this guarding walling off energy. Well, there's a different way to you know sort of hold space for the heart, but allows you to speak from the heart rather than being walled off, guarded around the heart. Just resting your hands, put that left hand, that receptive hand on your heart, to connect you with that softness, and then bring in that right hand, the masculine. Okay. I think this is coming up for you in relationship a lot. Okay. In relationship a lot, this is coming up for you, needing to really temper the communications, learning how to speak in a new way, learning how to speak the truth, but learning how to stay in touch with what's behind the hurt, what's behind the anger. It's the wounding, it's the tenderness, it's the owie, and so it's like holding that tender space, but letting that masculine energy come in with that right hand, holding the space, holding it down, like it's okay, it's safe, it's safe to speak from the heart and speak your truth from this place. Experiment with it. The next time you have to say something that maybe it feels a little harsh, come from this space. Watch how it tempers things. Watch how it changes things. This, look at what it brings. It brings this 10 of Pentacles. Boom. Everything starts to manifest in your life as you shift this. And that's what I was talking. Boom. Literally. Look at that with the Tower. It'll blow your mind how much your fears, your anxieties have been holding you back from manifesting everything you've been looking for. Your success, your rootedness, your connectedness, your sense of family, your sense of togetherness, somebody to build with. This is legacy energy. And again, it's what I was talking about with this 10th house, Capricorn energy, that I saw this card in my mind's eye with you. This is all talking about how you present yourself, how you're perceived. You are building a legacy right now. You are going to be one of these people that leaves behind a body of work. You leave behind a body of work. You're leaving behind a legacy. Okay. So there's a certain responsibility in that, heavy as the head. When you're going to leave behind a body of work, this is about you really paying attention to how you're showing up. How are you representing that body of work in your earth walk, in your communications, because, people are watching. They're watching. So your public communications are really significant at this time. And there's something you're not seeing here that you need to see. It needs to be revamped. I see you doing it. I see you reaching that place of success. Look at this. Boom. I see you reaching success, Emperor. Big Emperor energy. You're going to take charge of this. You're not gonna like take the back seat anymore. I see you really standing up and representing yourself. This may bring a tower to some people as you really invest in yourself, but it's so good. It's so healthy. Look at this. You're totally heading into that Taurus North Node. You may also be dealing with an earth sign energy, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, or somebody has strong, earth placement in their chart. I also see this is for you. I'm really picking it up. Women out there, I feel like you're really coming more into your masculine energy, just in respect of you're taking charge. You're like, forget Empress. I'm going to Emperor. All right. I can run this. I can run this shit. All right. And I see you doing it. Look at it. 9 of Pentacles. You're really going to build this independently for yourself. I also feel those that are wanting to come into relationship. We saw love is wanting to come in for you. I feel something really comes in for you in July. You also may be dealing with a Leo or somebody who has strong Leo placement in their chart, just because you had a few Leo significators came forward for you. This person could also have strong Earth in their chart. I'm picking up, those 2 signs in particular kind of coming forward for you in relation to this. I feel like for a lot of you, this is speaking on a business level, but there is the love piece there. And I feel like there's some maturation process that's happening in love in terms of commitment. But I feel like that it doesn't happen. You don't go from the 9, to the 10, really building with somebody else until you first really step into your personal empowerment yourself. It's like you really embodying that energy, taking charge of your life, creating your future for yourself, finding your own self satisfaction, really like knowing your worth, knowing your value. There's something about you going after your aspirations, going after these projects, these things you want to build for yourself, that really allows you to move into that receptive place, water sign energy, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, where you can really receive, you can receive this kind of support from another, you know, because you're meeting each other on an even playing field. It's not an imbalance of power. It's not like, oh, one person is doing all the caretaking in the relationship while the other is, just kind of like, receiving the benefits of that along for the ride. Okay. No, this is two people that build together. So I feel like you're cutting off, connections, romantic connections where you haven't been met, where it hasn't been a reciprocal flow. You're investing in yourself and you're starting to redirect that energy elsewhere. And where you're redirecting that energy, you're going to come into this place of real personal satisfaction and success. And by you doing this, you actually end up aligning with somebody who can meet you in that place and you'll build together. I really got that. You'll build together. And some of you are really going to come, into a place of you're building an empire. You are, what you start now is really significant. I'm picking that up very strongly for those of you with a Capricorn North node. Okay, this Capricorn came in really strongly with your read. You are definitely going to be building something that people will be talking about after you're long gone. It's legacy vibes, all right. And this coming in, if you've been struggling with an issue of anything related to inheritance being held back or something that was owed to you, due you, and there's been holdup around that, conflict around that, do look for that to come in. I feel like you'll get some positive word around that. Yeah, whoever was sabotaging this, holding it up with the 7 of Swords to the death, that's coming to an end. And you're going to be able to have everything you need to really move forward with this creative project. Look at this. The money is going to free up. I feel like you're redefining your work. You're doing work that you're really fulfilled in. A lot of you are heading into entrepreneurship, more creative direction. Finances are freeing up that you were supposed to receive in the past. I just see you need to work on your communication, your public presentation. Like, how are you showing up in communications publicly? Because it's a calling card for you right now. And I also feel there's somebody that you are getting on the same page with. A lot of you are moving into deeper levels of commitment. And you may have had a period of time in your relationship where you weren't on the same page, but I see you moving into this place of fulfillment with the 10 of Cups. I can't make it up. And what's on the other side there? The Empress. And finding your own paths. That was important. It was a recentering point. Maybe you were out of balance in the past. Maybe you all are going through a little separation right now. Maybe you've been going through a period of time where you've really worked on this issue, sort of cultivating your own paths, your own interests. It's been important. I feel like what comes forward, it's a beautiful thing. This is also this big, nodes of destiny transformation that happens in July, because Empress represents Libra, Aries energy for that Emperor, and Aries will be in the North Node, and Libra is going to take over the South Node at that time. So I feel like this is when you're going to have this big time of success, 10 of Cups, your happiness, everything's going to click then for you. All right. But a big part of it is in your communications. All right. In matters of heart, in matters of resolving conflict. Okay. But also how you present yourself in terms of your public reputation, how people perceive you. Are you putting out your message authentically? Are you coming from a place where, people would actually be receptive to what you're saying? There's something about coming off too guarded, or maybe looking at where you might need to show a little bit more receptivity or more softness, just kind of smooth the edges a little, right? And speaking some of your truths, this message coming forward. But there is something coming in for you, and it's going to be coming in very rapidly. And I say it's going to come in about 8 weeks. Okay. So I'm picking up summer solstice for a lot of you. This is a fire sign energy. I think this is your person that you're coming into alignment with. We had big Leo energy. We now have Sagittarius energy here with Temperance. This is somebody you're balancing things out with. Look, and the symbols between the two cups, it also looks like Leo to me. 55-55, where you've been in this intractable position with a Leo, where things just couldn't seem to get on the same page, and there's been disruption, conflict. I see a radical transformation of energy. Here they are, big Leo energy. This is also Sagittarius, and Aries energy. Okay. Coming in very strongly as Sagittarius there, though, too. Sagittarius and Leo I got, right? Because Temperance is the card of Sagittarius. Something's being balanced out. Okay. Something's being balanced out. And I also feel like there's more honest, open communication. Something that was hidden is coming to light. You guys are taking the communication to a deeper place. This comes in very quickly, like somebody's got something to say to you. There's a lot of passion behind it. Things get moving forward. I see the messages really flowing back and forth, the communication flowing back and forth. This could really be a reinvigoration in a relationship too, but I see things coming into alignment. Like this is your person. You got some fire sign coming in, all right? Looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. And let's see, let's go ahead and just get you one overarching theme card. Looks like communication is your main point of focus, and taking down, the defensiveness a notch, working on your receptivity a bit more, softening a little bit more. And, staying in this place of also, understanding that only you can determine how other people treat you. So invest in yourself. If you're not digging how somebody's treating you, give them a chance to see what it's like without you around. Start redirecting your energy a bit, and then maybe they might look at approaching you in a new way too. Sometimes you have to pull your energy back and invest in yourself a bit more before others can really appreciate, what you bring to the table. So this part coming in for you to focus on too, your part, in you investing in what makes you happy, and not hanging out for the nonsense, not hanging out for what doesn't feel good, and people will be more eager to kind of like come to the bargaining table if, you let them miss you a bit, if you're not so quick to always be the one that has to resolve everything, open the conversation, be the one who initiates, let them take the initiation this time. I see them doing it. Okay. Looks like something moves forward. You come into alignment. Some of you are getting married. Some of you are, or you're about to meet your person, come into alignment with your person that'll be the one that you grow old with, the one you have a real solid commitment with, coming in pretty strongly. Yeah, look at this graveyard. Unnecessary fear. Like I said, you got to take off the blinders. Like you're not blocked in any way. Nothing's working against you. You got to let this stuff rest in peace. All this old stuff, all this he did this, she did that, he said, she said, all the old conflicts, all that crap, looking at the past all the time, going over it in your head over and over and over again. Just, it's time to let it go. It's all just unnecessary fear. It's time to let that shit go, because there's nothing but clear skies up ahead for you once you get out of your own way and let in what wants to come in for you. It's about your ability to receive.